Good morning, everybody. I guess it's still morning. Matt took up so much time. I'm gonna push through this real quick. I'm the meter reading services supervisor, and we're basically, we're basically responsible for all meters that we have. And it's roughly, I think, about 30,000 accounts we have. And we have 2 people every day that goes out and reads meters, and that's on a monthly basis. And then we have 1 person that does data entry, and for other guys, there's 4 of us that go out to perform turn-on, turn-offs, customer complaints, whatever, the case may be. Even dealing with theft services, things like that. All right, so some of our other responsibilities are performing data logging, and I'm getting that a little bit later and further on. And then we also have tampers, which customer goes out, maybe cuts one of the wires on the meters. It sends us an alert saying, hey, there's something going on here. And then we have to go out and repair it.
You hit the right area?
I did. I did. It's a little slow. All right. So yeah, we also perform anything that comes in through customer service. They can call in work orders to us. We go out and complete them. Provide each and every customer with water as far as emergency response as well. We also perform on-call duties. We work nights, weekends, holidays, and we basically do the same daily duties as we would at night or on calls. All right, so back in 2005, we implemented a big meter changeout, and that was within the county. I think in the city was in 2007. Yeah. So we went to, what's your name? Yeah, finished up in 8. Yeah. So we went through and we went to set up that Derek brought in, which is right here, which is a radio read meter. And they have like a 10-year life expectancy on them, and we're surpassed that 10 years. So, but the meter base itself has a 20-year warranty. So basically, the electronics are dying. And we've done a couple of different testing on different manufacturers, and they've been testing for well over a year, I think. And the new one is the Metron is the name of it. But like I said, the old one was a Badger, which the Metron I like because you can basically retrofit their unit onto one of our base or Badger bases. So it's basically like putting a Chevrolet motor in a Ford truck. You can do it, and it works. And also it measures the water more accurately. And that's what we're kind of shooting for. But they're cellular units, so we can basically, I can pull up from anywhere as long as I have a device and internet connection. I can pull up anybody and everybody's read. And say if I'm at home out sick or something, and they need a read on this or that, I can just send them straight to the office, email, or however they want it sent to them. Which is, we have, I'm not sure exactly how many we have out there now. Probably, is there some, probably roughly?
I want to say we ordered 300 the first go round.
Okay, so probably in the vicinity of about 400 or 500 we have
Yeah.
implemented in the system. And because we've been doing some retrofits ourselves, because they were going in with new ones. Anything new going in our system is the newer style Metron. I don't think we brought one of those. But so far, everything's been working great. We had one little area out in North Mainland. The cell phone coverage is not as great. So what we decided to do were, we got some plastic meter box lids. And after I put those on there, it seems like the signal is just picked up and everything's working spectacular. So electronics, they still have a 10-year life expectancy on them. Like I said, they have batteries in there, and they run off batteries. Batteries don't last forever. So we're basically in that transition right now. It's changing out all these dying or dead, or whatever the case may be. All right, so the data logging, this is a great thing to do to have. The customer can go out, or actually on the newer ones, the customer can go out or download an app called WaterScope, and you can monitor anything and everything that any water goes through that meter. And you can have it right here, palm of your hand, anytime you want. You can set alerts to just basically, say you want to set it, I don't want to go to 6,000 gallons this month. If I get close to that, I want to send the alert saying, hey, you're getting close to this, and I want to cut back on your water consumption. So then, which I feel like, we have not implemented at any customers yet, which is coming, I'm sure. And the old style, you basically had to go out, send a person out to go out and retrieve a read off of it. To say a customer comes in, they complain, I didn't use this kind of water. There's no way I can use that kind of water. We would have to send someone out to go and basically pull all the information out, and then bring it back up here and process it, then email it to them. But now, I say, it has right here at the palm of your hand, which it's been a very, very great tool to have. A lot of customers have called, there's no way to use that. We send them the information, like, oh, I guess I did. Your irrigation is right. Most of the time it's irrigation. But, all right. So, all right, this is a little screenshot of the new WaterScope software. I know it's a little hard to see, but this is basically what I can see. Each day, these new meters, they send a read one time a day. And it's usually early in the morning when there's not a lot of traffic through the cell phone towers. And it'll send me a read to our system. And then this is basically, I'll upload this straight to our billing software. And, all right, so the little graph I was talking about, say the customer wanted to see how much consumption they were using. They would take this graph right here and break it down to the date and the time. And basically tell them what kind of gallons per minute they were using. They didn't tell them just about anything except for where it went to, what it went to. Okay, so we're also in the middle, we've been transitioning from billing software, and now our guys were responsible for the monitoring and approving of the every meter read that comes in. We basically have to go through each one of them, and it shows us the read that comes in, and we will go through, verify that, so they give us an old previous read, but you got to verify and make sure that this the consumption looks pretty much accurate. It'll send us alarm or alert saying, hey, this looks a little fishy, it's a little low this month, or it's a little high. And I think it bases off of the 3-month interval, John?
Yeah, there are various parameters that can be set for the meter reading to look at the history of the meter, and if it's higher this month or it's lower this month, and it's 0, Caleb gets an error message when he's verifying those reads from the system. Now, this is a change. The new software works differently than the old software. Previously, you can use Badger software, upload the reads to the billing software, and then the billing people went through and ran a consumption report, and they visually went through, and there were some exception reports, and they had to go through and clear those in the billing folks. This software allows Caleb and his folks to actually work with the meters to check the reads on them and make those corrections before it even gets to the billing people. So it moves the responsibility to where the responsibility actually lies.
Okay, so Yeah, and like I said, some of those errors that stick out to us, it'll send us errors saying, hey, there's zero consumption in this account, which is a good thing. You know, we can pretty much track that information at high usage, low readings. That's also a great thing to have. And consumption on bank accounts. Now we're starting to crack down on these more and more because we're finding people stealing water a lot more. And, you know, that it was hard to find them beforehand when they were just going out reading them manually. They're pop lid, they could see, you know, if they had a jumper or something in the box. But now with this system, it's pretty self-explanatory. It says vacant consumption. All right, you know somebody's staying there, they're not supposed to be there. You know, do our process of elimination, trying to make sure the water's turned off, locked, and they turn it back on, and, you know, go to the next step, which will be I guess calling the police. Get the police involved. Okay, and this was what I was talking about, where the reads were coming into our billing software, where I had to prove each and every read. And this one is the messages I was saying that pops up next to each account. Oops. So yeah, and that's basically about it. And like I said, we're pushing really hard for these newer meters. They've been working out extraordinary. We might have a little bigger budget for them. Like I said, there's just so much that you can do with them. And I mean, technology has evolved so much. And they've got some that's coming out now where you can basically kill the services for all you gotta do is just go on the computer saying, I want to terminate that service, shut them off right here. And that will send a little signal out to them and kill them. But you know, technology is way, way advanced. So trying to keep up. And that's pretty much it. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, let me start off. On rereads, you have customers who disagree with the read on their bill, and then we go out and do a reread. Okay, what percentage of the time does the reread show that our billing information was wrong or meter information was wrong? Just off the top of your head.
Not very often. Not very often. There may be one or two instances, and I bet the work mainly that. Well, is that something to do with your pumps out there or something? Because the water, the back, and that goes back to some of them not having backflows.
That goes to backflows.
Yeah, don't have
We're
backflows.
rushing back out the meter.
So water was back rushing through the meter, but that was just gallery way out that way, the lower main.
So it's an installation.
It was, that's part of what we're doing now, is going through and putting all the dual checks on the residential meters.
One of the things I'm going to say, you know, Callum didn't mention this in response to your question, but these are positive displacement meters. They do not speed up as they get older.
Yeah.
They get
They slow
slower,
down.
meaning the customer gets a better deal for it. So the thought that the meters are speeding up and we've got a bad meter out there, that's not happening.
Right.
And also the registers on these meters will not turn unless there's water forcing the inside of them to turn. They don't run by themselves.
No, there's no way possible.
The only time really running any problems with the read being wrong is when it transmits something else than what's actually on the dials of the computer. Majority of the time,
That
it's
was the only
correct.
ones. That was the only ones right there in Gallup.
Well, because it's tamper and stuff like that too.
Commissioners?
Yes, one question. How many meters what's our percentage for putting, percentage of all meters, that we have meters? What's our percentage? How many meters do we have on our systems? Is it complete, every house has a meter?
Oh, yeah, well, it should be.
I mean, one of the new meters I'm talking about.
Oh, no. We have 30,000 accounts, and I say roughly, we have 400, maybe 500 of these newer style registers on
So how are you reading the old meter? Is it-
They still drive by, some of them are still picking up. Like I said, there's some that was, for 10 years, about the last 10 years, that's great. Some of them have surpassed that. And, we went back and before these newer style come out, we've done a lot of retrofitting, so some of them are actually a little newer than 10 years, some of them maybe 5 or 6 years, anything like that, so they actually have a new life cycle on them. So once those die, then we're just going to try and implement these.
Okay, so you got a periodic plan as to replace them?
We do now. Yeah, we'd like to try and get the schools first. All the school systems, we'd like to try and do those first, and then maybe eliminate some of the north St. Simons. So it's just so far out there.
Right now, new connections are getting the new meters, and then the ones that are failing are getting the new retrofitted heads. And then we want to target a school system that has numerous meters all over so that we can bill them all in one bill for all of their locations. Same with the hospital and other locations may have multiple, or other customers may have multiple locations. We can group them.
What's the cost of that meter?
Which one, the newer one?
Yeah.
The register itself is around 200. How much was the whole meter itself?
I mean, if we have the cost for us to install, basically, the cost of the meter and then what it costs us to put
I
it
said
in.
around 4.
To go through and retrofit the whole system with just with the new pads, we estimate it to be about $9 million.
Is a kind of a policy thing that we need to kind of look at and determine what way to go forward. The policy has always been, and correct me if I misstate this, that once you purchased a meter, then if you purchased one in 1990, then you didn't have to pay for any of the upgrades that we required to keep up with technology. And if you look at how your cable division is, every time they rent you the equipment. And so the policy has been we sell them the meter and then we take care of it. And the cost, as you add more technology, then is on us. And what we need to look at is maybe changing that policy to where we're more like the cable division folks. And that's just something we need staff to kind of come up with how that could work fairly and what the advantage of it is, and then what the disadvantages and all that kind of stuff, and let us look at it and say, this is what we want to do, or this is not what we want to do.
Back on meter accuracy, I think, Derek, did you say that the county, when they made their installations, that they did not have backflow preventers?
That is a typical, right here is a typical county setup. That's what we're finding everywhere, even over on the island, north, south Main. That's what we're finding. I've instructed our crews as they find them to get rid of them and put in the new setup. That new setup allows us to put a customer hand valve, a box on it, the gate valve on the end we put on one time. Once we install it, it's the customer's. From the nipple back, we take care of everything else.
And I'm wondering how much the backflow impacts the accuracy of the meter, because it's a positive displacement and the flow is actually turning the opposite direction, pushing the opposite direction.
It shouldn't impact it at all.
It should flow right through there.
Without the backflow preventers.
With or without it, the flow is the flow. It's a positive displacement. It measures the gallons that pass through the meter, period.
It just doesn't allow it to come backwards.
Well, I think
Comes back.
What
if you don't have a backflow
If you don't have a
preventer,
backflow, you have water that can come back.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to
But
tell
here-
you now.
Water coming back would mean you've got something going on at that location where they're pumping water up to a higher pressure to push it back. That's a real no-no, and it's very, very unusual, very unusual.
the only situation may occur where there's a main break, and then it would come back.
Well, you have to have a little low pressure, but again, the typical home and building, they shouldn't have water from any other source going into their plumbing. I'm not saying they don't. Of course, this community, now that you mention it, we do have a lot of wells out there, and private wells. And if they're connected up to us and they're well at the same time after the fact, possibly could.
Well, you have to, the plumbing codes are designed to protect public safety, public health. And backflow preventers are part of that. There's been cases all across this country where, say you have a meat market, you know, at Winn-Dixie, and in fact, they butcher meat, they have floor drain, tile floors, floor drain. And sometimes they'll have a water line over there running down in and keep water going through that thing. And you ever heard of air gap? Well, you have to have a certain air gap, a certain distance from the end of that line and that drain, because if you don't have enough, okay, if you have an open line and it's coming off your system out there and you have enough pressure on that system, off that header going through it where your water's coming off, it can pull that water. It can pull that water that's going out back into the main, back into the public line.
Aspirate right back in.
Okay, it can pull it back in there like a vacuum effect, suction effect. Okay, it can pull that line, and if it's too close to that trap or that drain, it can suck whatever's in that drain back into the system and contaminate the system. That is one extreme case, but it's happened many times in this country over the years. And so this is not just on that instance, but that's what these backflow preventers are for from anything in a residential, commercial dwelling, whatever, you know, that could get pulled back into the line, you know, that is feeding that dwelling with water, you know, with good, clean water. You don't want to contaminate. So it'll have no effect on your metering of the water going into the house, you know.
Without the backflow there on how some of these branch systems out there, when the line just runs out and don't know where it stops, that meter, when the water's running through it, it pushes a little old spring-loaded plunger, lets it go through. When the water's cut off in the house, the plunger closes. Without that backflow, I have run into situations, I had to get Caleb on some of them to straighten them out. What's happening, you shut the water off at the house, you got somebody down the road using water on this long branch, the water does this. And it might sit there and read the same gallon of water 4 or 5 times while it's sitting here bouncing back and forth. It's actually causing a small water handle.
Yeah.
That eliminates a lot of that on the meter.
Yeah, because those meters, they will not allow you to read, the numbers will not turn backwards, so water reverses, but like I said, they be the same water coming back. That was that one instance.
So the accuracy it won't read backwards, but it will read forward twice on the same gallon,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you have a hammer.
Yeah, that was on the old ones. Now, the newer ones, they give us reverse flow sanction, and it records the actual amount that, you know, that if something was to reverse flow, it would record that amount, and which is a good entity to have.
Derek, can you put your hand physically on the backflow? Just a little on the outside, right? A little short.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right there.
That's real simple.
That's a simple one.
Yeah, y'all
Make
sure.
the meter, make the meter.
Double check.
Yeah,
Backflow earlier.
The big ones get pretty massive.
But it's just a check valve.
The big one, that's just a little spring-loaded, double spring-loaded
Yeah,
check
check
valve.
valve, it's just a check valve.
Your big double checks is the same thing, same purpose really. The RP has an extra valve there, that if this check valve fails, it forces water to the ground.
Other questions, comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.